I did the you. I'm sorry. Welcome back, everybody. I am sorry. Welcome back to Learning in Silence, Season 1, Episode 7, Part 2, with your hosts, Jojo and Mandy. Oh my God. We have technical difficulties. We're just too hot for the internet.
Right? The topic. It's the topic.
The topic is taking everybody out of orbit. But
This is the third time this week, but you know what? They say third time's a charm, so let's go.
okay, so let's remind everybody that our topic of the day is toxic and forgiveness.
Yes.
Okay, we
Want to know
already
your
had
thoughts.
we already had shared a little bit about of if I'm aware of my toxicity, which I have admitted that I have, which I comes across this that I wanted to say. There's is by Morgan Richard Oliver. I hope I'm saying his name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. The ability to identify your own toxicity is not only a sign of strength, but also an indication of maturity.
Yes, that is definitely. It's also for me a sign of elevation. Like, because you know me, as you can see, I'm spiritual as well. And that's how I know when I'm growing out of my little toxic traits. You know, I've been going through a lot of, a lot that people don't know about and a lot that I can't talk about. But it's needless to say that if I was the old me, I wouldn't have been able to handle none of this correctly and none of this in a healthy way. And I would still be in that toxic mind frame. So going through this actually reminded me of what my toxic traits were, because I start seeing people and how they respond to me, and they expect that toxic person to answer.
That's
You
true.
know, the hurt me, the manipulative me, the dramatic me in a way, in a sense that it was you hurt me, but you hurt me. Like you're not like I would go so hard and not understand the other person's side, and that's toxic in itself because you're one minded. You don't see the other person's side or how you played a role into making them upset with you. So that was another real big toxic thing. I would make people upset, and I would not want to even understand why.
Yeah.
So understanding has been a very a very huge part in my healing process with my toxicity and everything else, like the questioning myself, the questioning the future. I even question the past sometimes, like, oh my God, what did I do? Or did that happen? Or that's toxic too. That's toxic thinking.
Yeah.
You know, it's toxic is so is it's I looked it up on Google, right? And Google had no definition for me but to repeat the word back to me. Toxic, I had to look more into it, like what is the in-depth toxic meaning, right? And it just kept giving me poisonous.
I was just gonna say that because that's what it gave me. Poisonous, but I mean it makes sense in a sense. Toxic is poisonous. It's something that you don't need it in your body. You don't need it in your mind, in your soul, in your life.
Right. Which brings me to toxicity. So when I started looking up and researching toxicity and what did that mean, It's a metaphoric generic version of just toxic, which is really meaning like you're already in it. You're already doing it. You know, the toxicity is an action. It's very much a mental thing too as well. You know, because it plays in the conscious mind of sometimes again doing things you're unaware of, you know, because of what you've been through, your traumas and stuff like that. It comes up because you, not that you don't know anything else, you just haven't learned how to replace it with something better.
That's where that's where I'm at the point in my life where I grew up with toxicity in around my lot in my family since I was little. It was just toxic and toxic here and toxic there and toxic there. And it's kind of like now I have to unlearn how to do all those toxic things that I was taught and brought up with. So that's what makes me a toxic person. Doesn't make me evil. It just makes me have toxic traits.
Right. That's just needless to say a toxic person, which would be a person that doesn't see anything that they do, like I was talking about. It's always about them. They're always right. It's always you gotta please them so your life is okay. And I lived that way for a very long time. You know what I mean? It's very much people pleasing. That's toxic as well. People pleasing has to be one of the biggest things I've been learning how not to do. Put up those boundaries and notice when somebody is being toxic or is toxic or just showing me their true colors. I have to be like, I can't have you around me because then that's a trigger for me to revert back to what I used to do. I can't do that. You know, I forgave myself for those things.
Which it makes me. But what would you say to those people that don't haven't gotten to that part where they got that strength that you have right now to be like, this is toxic, this is not toxic, I don't want this around me. You know, it took me a long journey to get to where I'm at right now. It took me a long journey just to break the chains from where I was tied within my family, within everybody that I had around me. That's why I had to cut everyone out of my life in order to concentrate on me and heal me. So
Correct.
what what can we say to those that don't know how to, they don't have the strength, or they don't know what's the steps?
When you're looking for strength and you can't find it nowhere else, please, if you haven't heard it, hear it now. Go in, go inside and work on yourself. Ask yourself the same questions you ask other people. And you know, one of my very good friends today asked me about trust. And remember, we've done an episode about trust.
Yes.
And I've been very open and honest that, you know, my trust issues run deep. I've learned to be open to the fact, let me rephrase that. I've learned to be open minded and hearted and spirited about forgiveness because forgiveness also plays with trust for me. Because for me, it's a very big thing. In order for me to forgive you, I have to trust what you're saying,
Hmm.
and find faith, believe in yourself, whatever that looks like. That's hard to do. No one wants to do the work. Everything wants everything handed to them. And again, I'm not perfect, so trust me, I've found loopholes many times in my life. I'm 32 years old and I'm still going. You know what I mean? But I found strength in my weakest moments. I didn't want to feel that way no more. When you start to feel like that, you don't want to feel this no more. You don't want to deal with these kind of people, these toxic traits, these toxic people. You don't want it no more. It's an energy source. It's an energy field. That's what I mean by trusting yourself. It's very possible to just wash yourself and wipe it all off of you and start again. It is possible, but are you willing to do that? Are you willing to show people a new you? Because that takes work too. That takes time too.
Oh yes, yes. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, and I'm glad I've noticed my toxic bad traits and in my character, and I'm fixing them instead of I'm saying it's just who I am or this is just me.
Another toxic trait I want to talk about, and again, just popped into my mind, taking things personally. Sometimes we can hurt ourselves with other people say because how we receive them, right? I also said sometimes people do things without knowing. Maybe again, the person didn't mean to come off like that. Maybe they were just passionate about what they were saying, you know? Or maybe, and I don't want to burst no one's bubble because I'm guilty of it too, of just listening with her ears and expecting everybody to just always be after me and never trusting the fact that there is and there are good people in this world. We just got to do the work to find them. Because once we let go of all that toxic stuff and we start forgiving ourselves for even letting ourselves go through that and feel those things and be sad and, be vulnerable like that, and not being vulnerable in a way where we're bettering ourselves. I understand those are hard things to do, but understand it's even more hard to be with a toxic person, to be around a toxic person, to deal with the toxic person. For even self, it's hard to deal with toxic traits because when you know you're a good person, your intentions are very much from the heart in a good place. And when other people don't understand that, that hurts, because you've done a lot of work to not be so toxic to
Oh,
people.
oh yes, trust me. Yes, yes. I could testify in that it is a lot of work to do. It's just a lot of work just itself to be aware that you are and that you have toxic traits just itself, but it's still a constant work to maintain and know that you continue to have to like continue to take care of that you have to continue to better yourself every day. It just doesn't happen from one day to another, like, oh yeah, I'm aware of this now, I'm no longer this. No, because it's a pattern. So you got to undo that pattern. You got to undo that toxic trait that you have and replace it with something better.
Amen. Amen. And that could
That's
be
something that I'm
anything.
learning.
Even that's why we decided to put toxic and forgiveness together, because forgiveness will be the aftermath. You know, I've actually heard one of our fellow co-hosts talk about forgiveness many times, and I learned a lot about forgiveness just watching their show, Divine DNA.
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Jackson. They've said before that forgiveness is very much for self, for your growth, for your healing, for just the other person to see that you don't have the same type of energy or heart as they do. Because when they see that, they're gonna be like, let me not go there again with that person, because they're not with it. I'll just say, I don't know how to say it any better. They just not with the energy. They don't want that kind of energy around them. So forgiveness comes with time as well. And
Yes.
there is should be no pushing, no forcing, no timestamp. I gotta forgive this person next week because we gotta go to the beach or we got a concert to go to. No. When a person shows you their true colors, believe them the first time. Okay? Because a mistake is only done once, maybe twice. But whenever it becomes repetitive, it's not a mistake anymore. You know what you're doing. So when two people together who are, I don't want to say toxic, just have learned to come out of that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's easy for when they're having a debate to go back to that. But now, when do you catch yourself being toxic and check yourself? It's another thing you got to learn is how to check yourself.
It's true. It's always if you could catch yourself in time before you do the damage to other people, it will be the best of all. But not everybody can catch
But
themselves. They're
even
aware.
after the damage, even after the damage, even if you done stirred the pot 1,000 times for like all week, sit back, relax, and think about your part in that. What was your toxic part in that? Instead of the woe is me, because that's easy to do. That's so easy to do, is to say this happened to me, that happened to me. Oh my God, every day. Oh my God. Solution. What are you gonna do about it?
I have a question, and it's kind of like not even. I didn't even plan this question. I didn't had it. It just popped up. So hey,
Go
um,
ahead.
can a person that says that they're completely healed and they have done, all these courses and they have done all these things and done the whole 9, 10 works, whatever it is that called, and they consider themselves a wholly healed person, spiritual, all that.
Okay.
Can they still be toxic? Can they
I wouldn't
possess
say
toxic traits?
right,
Let me rephrase that.
right. I wouldn't say they're toxic because they again they're doing they have done or they're doing the work. They continue to want to be better. This is what I'm saying about now you have to change your mind frame and think about the other person. Like just because they did something that offended you, where did that come from? Why did they do that to you? Was it really for you or was it because they're maybe going through something and it was just placed on you?
Or is it, why did it offended me? Why did that particular thing offended me?
Right. Yeah. Right. That's that I would say that's just something that can be worked on. But again, not a lot of people know that they're doing that. You know, not a lot of people um work through everything they need to work through. That's why when I was learning about, just even when I was reading about Buddha, it's a teacher will always be a student becomes a teacher.
That is
You know
true.
what I mean? You learn to teach others. You learn how to give great energy out. You learn all these things. But what are you going to do with it? Did you learn all of this for nothing? Because I know I've had those moments. I don't know about anybody else of I've read the books, I've taken the classes, I've done the Zooms, I have books for days, I write all the time. Look how true it is. I understand that. I've done the work. Why do I still have these toxic traits? But like you asked me earlier, are you not addressing something within yourself? Why are you putting it on other people once again? You cannot sit around and want to poke and jab people when you don't understand nothing they've gone through.
But you're still allowed to feel and still allowed to
That's of course you have to respect that.
feel, wallow a little bit in what just went on. It's just the fact of just sitting in there and just soaking yourself in there like a sponge and just continuing to just let that rule
That's
your
pity
life.
party. That's a pity
Yeah,
party. I've done that before. It's pity party. You want people to feel bad for you, and that's cool. But again, it's when's enough.
right. That was something
When,
that I
when's
could
the
I could
time to
relate. I used to
forgive?
do a lot. I used to do.
When's the time to forgive? When is the time to even, you don't even have to forgive the person in their face. Just forgive the situation, leave it right where it is, and keep on moving on. There's other things that need your time and your attention. I don't know about anybody else, but I keep telling people I'm trying to save one soul at a time.
And to be honest, not everything needs a forgive or a forgiveness. Just something sometimes just needs to be just done and over. Just let it be what it was and just continue your life. Why overstress yourself? Why overwhelm yourself with something that doesn't need your energy or that attention? Just let it be and keep the flow going. Isn't that what we all want? Just to flow, to keep
Right.
the peace. If it requires a forgiveness, I feel in my it's my opinion that if something requires a forgiveness is because it has passed boundaries that require forgiveness now.
I never thought of it that way. Wow.
I'm not gonna forgive a deer for passing through where it's supposed to pass. Why would I forgive the deer where it's supposed to pass through it?
Which brings me to the download that I just got, and I heard very clear in my head. What's understood doesn't need to be explained
I like that.
because it just
I'm gonna
it
sip on
very
that.
much. Cheers. It very much just is what it is, and it isn't what it's not. You know, which is gonna bring me to a little poem kind of prayer-ish thing I want to read before we close out, if you don't mind, Miss
Oh, we're
Juju.
closing out. I had like 3 million questions. Well,
We got time for maybe one or two more.
well, I got okay. I just want to ask one more question. Can
Okay,
I?
okay. Yeah,
Because we've
of
been
course.
talking about forgiveness. I want this one. I want to ask this one. Can you share with us a toxic experience that taught you a valuable lesson?
Can you share with us a toxic experience? Um, can't really explain too much about it, but I will say when you're put in a position where even if you love a person and it's you or them, and as much as you care to not be in the chaos or be in conflict, you choose yourself. And that was scary for me because I, at that point, never chose myself first. I always did what that person wanted. And my life was very much controlled, you know? And that taught me the strength that you asked me because I was nothing. In my head, I was nothing. I didn't have anything. I left with nothing. No one would, like, I wasn't going to move on. Like, that's how I thought. But once I started spending time with myself, that was the valuable lesson. That was the greatest gift I ever got. What about you?
For me, I'm gonna make it quick. I will, as I've been told, I've been raised with toxic around me, all around me. There's this thing where everybody's always, if they're above your age, they're allowed to yell at you, and you can't say nothing
Mm,
because we know better. So I was raised that way, so I thought that that's how the way you're supposed to raise kids, and it got to a point where I found out that that was so toxic. I was constantly screaming at my kids. It got to a point where my partners, I will in a way groom them so they could be as stern and as yelling as I was, because
whoa.
that's how I wanted it to be, because that's how I thought it was. And that was toxic until I actually opened my eyes and I was like, this is not good. You're doing this totally wrong. I mean, it opened my eyes before, but when my mom, not my mother, my mom passed away, that's when my eyes opened, my brain opened, my heart opened, everything just expanded and allowed all the wisdom to come in, and that I'm learning now, which is hopefully I'm helping somebody else in the
Oh, I
in the
hope so too.
process.
I hope so too. I know we are. I hope it helps, but I know it helps because I know you guys feel good.
So I know we've been talking about forgiveness a lot, but I want to ask this: what part have you forgiven? Because there's people that forgive just this specific event that has happened to me, but they don't forgive everything else, or they just forgive their inner child, but they don't forgive their adulthood, or they forgive their adulthood, but not their inner person. So
I think I've forgiven all of me. No, I don't think. I have forgiven all of me because I didn't know any better. I just did the best that I could with what I had, which is still what I do today. But the only difference today is I go above and beyond for myself. I said this in my last poem, last episode. You got to ask those people, would you do for me what I would do for me? Because I would do everything for me. I love me. I'm secure with myself. I am. Because I love the good and I love the bad, and I have made peace with both sides. And both sides could walk now hand in hand. Yeah, they fight a little bit sometimes, but they have a mutual respect and understanding of I know how to work with you and you know how to work with me. And we gonna figure it out,
okay,
and not hurt nobody intentionally in the process. Because when you're doing those things, you do hurt people without knowing. You do, and it takes later and like you said, actual real hurt to cause pain, and then you want to be forgiven. How about just go with peace? You
okay.
know?
Well, for me, I could say the part of me that I have been learning how to forgive is my inner child. I have forgiven some stuff of my adult person. It's a process. You can't do all everything all at once. So it's kind of a process. So as whatever pops out in within my journey, that's what I heal at the moment. So there's part of my inner child that is healed, and there's part of my adult me that is healed. And but little by little we are healing, and I can say that I have seen an improvement. I also could say that I am learning how to forgive other people. I'm getting to understand that phrase, forgive them, not for them, but for you. I understand it now because it does bring a better peace. There are people out there that either have been because of me, whatever toxic thing that I did, or just being me, thinking that I knew all that back then. I could have if screwed up a relationship. It doesn't have to be sexually. It just a relationship in general. um I have forgave myself for those, and I hope that those people have forgave me. But as well, those there are situations where the other people have hurt me, and I have to learn how to forgive them and me, them
Mm-hmm.
because of what they did, and me because at that moment I wasn't aware and I permitted it to happen, and I needed to forgive myself. So by forgiving me, I forgave them, and that's the best that they knew. That's not the proper way. That's not the healed way, but that's all they know is toxic. Let them live over there, and I live over here with my peaceness and my betterness over here.
Like I be saying, I be exiting stage left. Like, oh, you acting like that? I gotta go. Oh, you calling me with that? Gotta hang up. Oh, my phone's dying. But before we end off on a positive note, as we always do, we want to give some comments, some love. We haven't shown anybody in the
Well,
comments
two
today.
minds think alike because I just went towards comments and I was like, "Oh, there's comments."
Brittany, Nail Beauty by Brittany in the house. Glad you're back. Thank you so much. Brittany,
Yes,
if
thank you for being faithful and waiting for us. Thank you, we appreciate it.
She is truly a supporter, and we love you, Brittany. And if you haven't heard about Nailed by Brittany, you need to go check her out. And that's how true it is. My alarm. And go fix your nails because I gotta fix mine too. But go mention Learning in Silence or Juju. Just mention Juju, and you get a little discount and whatnot. Ooh, I think even those who come across as not being aware that they are toxic likely are very aware, very much so. I think so as well. One more. If anyone claims to be all the way healed, I'm not going to believe what they say simply because there is such a thing. No.
I like
Healing
that. I
is
like that perspective. I really do. I really thought that there was a finish to all this rainbow. I thought that there was going to be there's no
you
more.
ever saw beginning or an ending to a rainbow? Just wondering.
I
'Cause
that
I
that's
haven't.
the beginning me. That's what I thought at the
Supposedly there's a
beginning of the
leprechaun with
journey.
some money there. Tell him Mandy need to holler at him because he don't got a phone.
I'm still trying to find that lucky charm.
Oh, I got it in the box on top of the fridge. According to who, though, would be my question. Who decides it needs forgiveness?
I
Um,
like that.
who decides it
The
needs
person
forgiveness?
itself. If
I
you
think
feel
just the situation itself, rather. Like, obviously, if there was a situation to begin with, there was a conflict of interest, like of opinion. I mean, like, you didn't. It's a learning, like, to agree to disagree almost. And that could be a form of forgiveness as well because you're still respecting each other's perspectives, opinions, feelings, and just simply saying, I still feel how I feel, you still feel how you feel, but we gonna be cool because it ain't
yeah,
nothing.
but if nobody communicates the feelings of each other, if we have a conflict and we're talking about how we're going to name, if it's going to be Juju and Mandy or Mandy and Juju, and we just are, we're having a conversation. If you don't come up and tell me, this is how I'm feeling,
I
how am
see
I
where you're going.
supposed to ask, be like, forgive me, I'm sorry?
So that would, for me personally, would be how much I care about you. And that's just me. That could be wrong, that could be toxic, but for me, it's just, again, it's my energy. And if you are wanting to be in my energy, or we are supposed to like share the same space, and we got to exchange energies. It's just an understanding. I'm going to understand you, you're going to understand me, but at no point in time am I going to do something intentional to hurt you. And if I do, I want to say I'm sorry. I want to say I apologize. Please forgive me because I didn't know I did that. And that's also showing you that I'm one taking accountability for what happened, even if it wasn't my fault. Because you know me, sometimes I say sorry, I didn't even do anything. But I always, for me, so I can live, Mandy can live in peace, whatever peace and joy that may bring me, is that if I will feel it if I have to say sorry. For me, forgiveness is a feeling. I feel it in my soul if I want to forgive you or not. And that will be up to me. And there has people who come to me and ask me for a whole apology, and I'm just sitting there like, just like that. Who said that I was gonna forgive you, like, or I was gonna say I'm sorry, or that I even am sorry? But again, that's still an okay conversation to have. There's still something to be learned in that conversation.
It, again, for me, is all about the communication. You have to communicate with people. People cannot know, we're not mind readers yet to know what the other
Right.
person is feeling or thinking. Yes, we as empaths could pick up on your feeling, but that doesn't mean that it's 100% accurate. We just feel something that you're feeling that could have been from 2 days ago, and we're picking it up that you're still feeling that way. The point is, communicate with us, communicate with people, communicate with the other, communicate with your neighbors, with whoever it is, and speak about it. Just don't stay shut. You got to speak, open your throat chakra and let it out. Okay?
Speak up for
Now,
yourself.
Mandy, I know you got to pick up your kids, so I would love for you to do your poem before you step out,
Yes,
and
I'm
I'll end
sending
the show
everybody off with love
for
and
both
light
of
today.
us.
Okay. So, whatever you believe in, whether it's Jesus, not Jesus, spirit, higher power, whatever you believe in, please ask them to grant you the serenity to accept the things you cannot change, the courage to change the things that you can in your ability, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Live one day at a time, enjoy one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace. Taking as any wise man would and did this world as hurtful as it is, not as I would personally have it, but trusting that we all make things right and open our understanding so that we may all put love back into our heart, back into our speech, and back into our mind. I love you guys. It is Juju and Mandy with Learning in Silence, episode 7. It was a great show. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. I will finish the show off with my poem. Peace. Kisses to my babies. Okay, my poem is from Tanya Maikor. I hope I'm saying her name right. And it says, "And there you are again, trapping in your inner shit. But this time, you're waking up still deep in it. And remember your mission. This makes you feel a smidge less horrible because you realize the moment you become open to change, the being better, you've already transformed. And even if you continue to summon your inner muck, it never silence this growing, self loving, knowing that you can heal and do not deserve perpetual suffering. So there you are, a total mess, vulnerable, but choosing to be worthy, amazing and new. Crap, this didn't happen to you because you're fucked up, but to reveal a stronger, earlier version of you. Amen. Ashe. And again, thank you for coming in. And remember, inhale in, inhale out. And that's how you truly begin the process of learning in silence. Until next time.